Hello friends, welcome to our channel Universal Movies. Today I am going to explain a comedy, fantasy and horror film called All Cheerleaders Die. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. At home, high school student Mäddy watches video footage of her friend Alexis explaining how dangerous cheerleading can be. She playfully looks at the camera, twirling her hair and flaunting her sexy uniform while also judging the appearance of other students. Adding to Alexis' popularity is her boyfriend Terry, the football team captain. Their practice then starts and the cheerleaders perform perfect choreography and mesmerizing acrobatics. However, Alexis breaks her neck and dies when her teammates miss her after tossing her into the air. 3 months later, Terry starts dating another cheerleader, Tracy. Meanwhile, Martha arrives at school with her boyfriend Manny and her shy sister Hanna. At the football field, recruitments begin to take Alexis' spot on the team. However, when the aspirants get called one by one name catches everyone's attention. Looking entirely different, Mäddy shows up there for the tryouts. Confused, Tracy and Martha pull her aside to ask what she's doing. Since Mäddy was close with Alexis, she tells them she also wants to try cheerleading. As the audition goes on, the cheerleaders are impressed with Mäddy's dancing and gymnastic skills. Ultimately, she makes the squad and the cheerleaders celebrate with her. However, in her room, Mäddy reveals that her personality change is just a facade. She holds a grudge against the cheerleaders for how they seem to not to care about Alexis' death, especially Terry, who currently dates his dead ex-girlfriend's best friend. Determined to avenge Alexis, Mäddy vows to ruin their senior year of high school. Moments later, Mäddy changes her clothes and leaves the house to meet the other cheerleaders. She then encounters her ex, Leena, who is determined to save the relationship. She doesn't understand Mäddy's abrupt change and desire to become a cheerleader, but Mäddy won't even talk to her. Then, as Mäddy avoids Leena, she fails to see that the girl has slipped something in her bag. Stopping the confrontation, Tracy arrives to pick Mäddy up, leaving Leena alone. Leena is then forced to go home, but before she leaves, she first does a ritual with her magical stones. At a pool party, only Martha wears conservative clothes because she is overly religious. Meanwhile, Tracy talks to Mäddy by the pool and says she feels ashamed about dating Terry. She reveals that she is like Terry even before but insists that she never acted on it. Then suddenly the football team arrives, infuriating Martha because they aren't invited. Terry then manages to calm Martha down and give a bracelet to Tracy, which she proudly shows to Mäddy later. A bit disturbed, Mäddy tells Tracy that he saw Terry cheating on her with another girl. Upset, Tracy drinks more than she can handle and gets drunk later in her car. Mäddy tries to comfort Tracy like a good fake friend, but Tracy is too busy drowning in self-pity. So Mäddy steals her phone and sends Terry an insulting text, unaware that Terry is watching them from a distance. Eventually, Tracy stops crying and kisses Mäddy, and the two girls remain clueless that the football captain can see everything they are doing. Later that night, Mäddy takes Tracy to her house and decides to walk home. As she does, she realizes she has a little straw doll in her bag and quickly throws it away. She also notices a car following her, but when she stops to see if she can recognize the person behind the wheels, the driver suddenly speeds away. The next night, Leena follows Mäddy to another party at a cemetery. Hurt, she watches Mäddy having the time of her life with her new friends. Meanwhile, Tracy and Mäddy have gotten closer after sharing a kiss. On the other hand, Martha acts cold towards Manny, so Hanna tries to comfort him. However, she only gets denied by the guy she likes and his silly friends. Disappointed, Hanna walks away from the football players and later sees Leena from a distance. When Hanna approaches Leena, who's fiddling with her stones, she gets curious. At first, Leena pushes her away but ends up letting her watch. Then they begin a ritual that will fulfill Hanna's wish. As Hanna throws the stones, Leena reads them and tells her to focus on what she wants. However, she also warns Hanna of the consequences of the spell. Still, Hanna goes through with it and glances at Manny before making her wish, hoping it will come true. Meanwhile, Tracy gets rid of her bracelet and continues to have fun with Mäddy. As they talk, Mäddy notices that Leena is watching them and decides to make her jealous by hugging Tracy and inviting her somewhere quiet. Leena then follows the girls and watches them make out, leaving her crying and hurt. With nothing else to do, Leena returns to Hanna and grabs the stones just as one of them begins to glow, yelling at her to go away. Later on, Terry arrives at the cemetery and gets even more pissed upon seeing Tracy and Mäddy laughing. As the football captain, Terry announces that his teammates are no longer allowed to fraternize with the cheerleaders. Terry also threatens to bench Mäddy the entire season if she stays with his girlfriend, so he reluctantly leaves Martha. Speechless, the team has no choice but to follow. After all, cheerleaders aren't the only attractive girls in school. Upset, the girls try to leave, but Mäddy encourages Tracy to stand up to the Terry. Tracy then insults Terry's skills in bed, and eventually, the football captain ends up punching her. Shocked, Mäddy tells Terry to kiss his football season goodbye before urging the other guys to do something. However, when nobody moves, Martha decides to call the cops. Unfortunately, Terry is too quick and steals a phone. Tracy then rushes at Terry, and the team gets in between them before things get even more ugly. As the girls leave to report Terry, he and his boys chase after them. Along the way, they pass Leena, who is still crying. Meanwhile, Martha speeds up to avoid Terry's wrath, only to crash the car right through the railings and fall into the river. One of the football players, Vic, is horrified and wants to save the girls, but his teammates stop him and tell him they need to go. On the other hand, Leena rushes to help the girls while Terry and his buddies flee the scene. In the river, Leena breaks the car's window and carries all the cheerleaders to safety. Crushed, Leena throws away her pouch of magic stones and holds Mäddy's lifeless body in her arms. As she does this, the girl's blood flows towards the stones, so Leena raises her hand to the moon and bites herself before feeding the stones her blood too. Once Leena begs Mäddy to come back to her, each stone enters the girl's wounds and revives them. Subsequently, another stone attaches itself to Leena. The following morning, Mäddy wakes up at Leena's house. Also with them are the other cheerleaders, and when Tracy awakens with an odd amount of strength, she accidentally throws Leena's cat to a wall. On the other hand, Martha inspects herself in front of the mirror in the bathroom, and Tracy looks at her battered face. At the same time, Mäddy watches Leena revive her cat with a chant. Mäddy then calls Martha, but Hanna is the one that responds. With this, they deduce that Martha and Hanna have exchanged bodies and realize that Hanna's wish before might have caused this consequence. As they all panic, Tracy gets a sudden urge to eat and goes to a neighbor's house to find some food. She then walks up to the house owner, Larry. She leans in and heads to the kitchen to find something to eat. Back at Leena's house, Leena reveals that the girls died the previous night. She insists that she revived them using her magic, but Mäddy only gets annoyed and refuses to believe her. However, Mäddy changes her mind when Leena makes her feel both their heartbeats, making her realize that Leena is telling the truth. Meanwhile, Tracy throws up intensely after eating a ton of food and lets Larry hug her. The stone inside her wound then glows, just like the other girl's stones, and Tracy casually stabs Larry in the neck with her finger. Larry tries in vain to defend himself, but when the other cheerleaders arrive at the house and feast on his blood, he turns into a desiccated corpse. The girl's wounds then heal, and as Leena rejoices after proving her magic is real, Tracy tells them to get ready for school. At school, Terry happily flirts with the new students and introduces his teammates to the girls. However, Vic isn't in the mood to talk to them, and he even tries telling a teacher about the accident the previous night. At the same time, Mäddy and her friends make the grand entrance, leaving Terry and his boys dumbfounded. During class, Tracy is grouped with one of Terry's teammates, Ben. Ben feels bad about what happened and wonders what he can do to make it to Tracy, so without hesitation, she asks him for some drugs. Meanwhile, one of Leena's classmates sees her making her magic stones float and shares what he's seen with his friend. Unfortunately, Terry overhears the conversation. After the first period, Hanna feels uncomfortable being in her sister's body, but for once in her life, she is not in her sister's shadow anymore and she quickly embraces her newfound confidence. In contrast, Martha struggles as she gets harassed by her classmates. Later on, Mäddy approaches Terry as he flirts with new students and her presence makes her girls leave. Terry warns her not to mess with him, but Mäddy refuses to be intimidated and makes sure the football captain knows she intends to kill him. However, the conversation is cut short when Mäddy falls to the floor, moaning in pleasure. Terry and George then see her back glow, but they keep quiet about it and just leave. Struggling to walk, Mäddy confronts Leena and asks for an explanation for what happened. So Leena tells her they are all connected, which means if one feels something, the other feels it as well. 4 minutes earlier, Hanna cornered Mäddy in a bathroom and made out with him. She even removed her clothes and let Mäddy see and touch her sister's breast, leaving the guy completely amazed. Hanna eventually made love with Mäddy and although he found it weird that his girlfriend wanted to be called Hanna, but he just chose to ignore it. While that was happening, Tracy was smoking weed with George in his van. As Tracy showed him her wound and her stone appeared, all the cheerleaders suddenly felt what Hanna was feeling. The stone then hit George in the face and instantly killed him, and Tracy didn't even feel guilty sucking his blood. Back in the present, Leena orders Tracy and Mäddy to stop feeding while at school. Meanwhile, Terry watches Leena put her stones into her locker in the distance. George then informs him of Ben's death, and Terry chooses to keep what's happened to his teammate a secret. While Hanna is being affectionate with Manny, Martha watches with a sinister look. Once Hanna is gone, Martha confronts Manny and tells him to go with her to the woods. Feeling betrayed, Martha asks Manny why he slept with her sister. Confused, Manny quickly tries to leave, so Martha reveals that she is his girlfriend. Thinking she is joking, Manny tells her to stop and reveals that his teammates hate it when Martha bosses him around. This then infuriates Martha, so she chases after Manny and throws him to a tree. As Manny lies there dying, Martha absorbs all his blood. At the same time, George notices that Hannah's hip is glowing. Later that afternoon, Leena realizes that her stones are gone. She also notices that Mäddy doesn't look well, so she lets her ex-girlfriend feed on her. On the other hand, Terry and George think of how to stop the cheerleaders since they feel like the girls are picking them off one by one. Terry then rams into Vic and stops him from leaving the team, telling the poor guy he won't just let him quit. In her room, Mäddy realizes that she will have to feed on human blood for the rest of her life. At the same time, Martha and Hanna fight, and Tracy continues to be her usual loud self. Fed up, Mäddy instructs Martha and Leena to look after the girls while she showers. Meanwhile, Terry and George finally find Manny's body and decide to get away. Alone by the stairs, Hanna worries about Manny as he isn't answering her calls. She soon realizes that Martha has Manny's phone, and eventually Martha confesses to killing him. Hurt, Hanna leaves the house just in time when Tracy discovered Mäddy's video diary. Concurrently, Terry and George fail to locate Vic. Back in the room, Mäddy walks in on the girls as they watch her video diary. Tracy is disappointed to learn Mäddy's true intentions, and even though she tries to explain herself, Tracy refuses to listen to her. Tracy also throws Mäddy to a bookshelf when she tries to stop her from leaving, and shortly, Martha follows her. Once Martha and Tracy are gone, Mäddy reveals to Leena that Terry violated her while she was trying to make a tribute video for Alexis. That was also the time when she lost her bracelet, which Terry later gave to Tracy. Meanwhile, outside, Hanna gets kidnapped by Terry and George and has her stone carved out of her body by the football captain. At the same time, Martha comes to her sister's rescue upon hearing her screams. However, the girls are overpowered by the stones when Terry takes Hanna's. Terry also struggles to handle the magic stone, and soon Martha rips off their vehicle's door. Upon realizing that Hanna is dead, Martha immediately kills George by smashing his head with a blunt object. Frightened, Terry swallows Hanna's stone and attacks Martha. Meanwhile, Vic shows up at Mäddy's house and sees Mäddy and Leena in distress. Then Terry arrives with Martha and he dislocates her shoulder in front of her friends to provoke the girls. He also taunts Vic and confesses to violating Mäddy, leaving his friend in disbelief. Unfortunately, Mäddy is too weak to fight Terry, so to regain her strength, she feeds on Vic. Insane with power, Terry leaves with Martha and dares her friends to come and get her. Mäddy and Leena follow Terry on Vic's motorcycle and Tracy goes after them too in a car. After the chase, they finally reach the cemetery. Martha's screams are heard, and as they approach, the stones start to heat up because Terry has just killed Martha and consumed her stone. After that, Terry quickly flees, and Mäddy, Tracy, and Leena discover their dead friends' bodies. Enraged, Tracy follows Terry and falls into his trap. Meanwhile, Mäddy almost falls into the trap too and tries her best to hold on to a branch. But when Terry abducts Leena, she eventually loses her strength and falls to where Tracy is. Moments later, Terry takes Leena near the gravestones, where her stone glows after Tracy dies. Terry wants to know the secret of the stones, but when Leena refuses to help him, he threatens to carve hers out of her body. Leena then tries to escape, but Terry eagerly throws his blade at her and incapacitates her. At the same time, Mäddy apologizes to a dead Tracy for everything that happened. Back near the gravestones, Leena desperately attempts to crawl away from Terry, but he casually pulls his blade out of her body and begins taking her stone. Luckily, Mäddy arrives and hits him with a bear trap, giving Leena a chance to get away from him. Terry then focuses his attention on Mäddy, unaware that he's dropped the rest of the stones that he's stolen from Leena's locker. As Mäddy fights off Terry, Leena uses what little strength she has left and wills the stones to leave their bodies. However, after that happens, one of the stones sinks to the ground and Mäddy quickly dies. Leena's desperation then brings Mäddy back to life, for another stone attaches itself to Mäddy and grants what Leena wants. Unfortunately, the stone that sank to the ground resurrected an angry Alexis, leaving Leena and Mäddy scared. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.